Mechanical beasts, their joints creaking and claws scraping against the corroded hull, emerged from the depths like specters of destruction. Their glowing red eyes cutting through the murk. Kael's breath came steady through his regulator, his gaze sharp behind the fogged visor of his reinforced diving suit. He signaled silently to his crew, a series of precise hand gestures that carried their weight in urgent meaning. Mira was first to move, her lithe form weaving through the narrow gaps between decayed beams and shattered panels. Her fiery hair, muted beneath the water, still seemed to burn with the same fierce spirit that had propelled her from Steelbone's docks to this desperate battlefield. She struck with practiced precision, disabling a mechanical beast's limb with a swift, calculated strike that sent sparks scattering through the water like fleeting stars. Behind her, Joran's fingers danced over a portable hacking device, coaxing long-dormant ancient machinery to life. His cracked glasses caught the faint light as he activated a trap, a net of electrified cables that ensnared another beast, rendering it motionless. The wreck groaned under the strain of battle, metal plates buckling and twisted beams shifting with ominous creaks. Grav's broad shoulders and steady hands wielded heavy weapons with brutal efficiency, blasting apart the monstrosities that threatened to overwhelm them. Lena moved calmly among the chaos, her satchel of herbs and first aid supplies a lifeline to those wounded in the relentless fight. Her warm presence, even under the crushing pressure of the abyss, offered a fragile sense of hope and humanity. Kael's mind raced, calculating every move, every risk. The warden's shadow loomed closer, a towering figure clad in patchwork armor, crimson lenses gleaming like malevolent eyes. Their duel was a clash of wills as much as weapons. Each strike Kael parried was a test of endurance and resolve. The wreck around them trembled, the sea's pressure pressing from all sides, as if the ocean itself sought to crush their defiance. In a moment of harrowing clarity, Kael made a choice that would etch itself into the hearts of his crew. With a fierce cry muffled by the water, he sacrificed his own safety to shield Mira and Joran from a devastating blast. The impact sent a shockwave rippling through the wreck, metal screeching and cracking as the structure began to collapse. The crew rallied, inspired by Kael's courage, pushing forward with renewed vigor. The warden faltered, his mechanical beasts falling one by one as the artifact, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light, was finally claimed. The aftermath was heavy with loss. Survivors clung to one another in the dim light beneath the sea, their breaths ragged but hearts steeled by the shared ordeal. The artifact's power pulsed like a heartbeat, a promise of salvation for Steelbone, yet tempered by the scars carved into their souls. As they ascended from the depths, the weight of sacrifice settled over them like a shroud, but so too did a fierce, bittersweet determination to endure. Above, the toxic sea stretched endlessly, its harsh winds whispering of trials yet to come. But beneath the waves, in the shattered wreck, a new chapter had begun, one forged in courage, camaraderie, and the unyielding will to survive. "We carry more than just this artifact," Kael whispered to Myra as they broke the surface. "We carry each other. That is our true salvation." And with that, the crew set their course back to Steelbone, their found family bound tighter than ever, ready to face the uncertain dawn. Kael sat perched on a rusted beam jutting from the shattered remains of the underwater wreck, his gaze lost among the twisted metal and murky depths. The eerie quiet was a stark contrast to the chaos of battle that had so recently engulfed them. Around him, the toxic sea shimmered faintly, a poisonous halo casting an otherworldly glow that seemed to mock the fragility of their victory. His hands trembled slightly as he clenched them together, knuckles white against the chill that seemed to seep not just from the sea, but from within. The weight of command pressed heavily on his shoulders, heavier than any mechanical beast they had faced. The faces of those who would not return haunted him, comrades fallen to the Warden's relentless assault, sacrifices made to claim the artifact that now rested secured within their vessel. Kael, a soft voice called, pulling him from the depths of his thoughts. Lena approached quietly, her satchel of herbs swinging gently at her side. Her sun-kissed skin glowed faintly in the dim light, and her warm eyes held a gentle insistence that he rise from his solitude. He nodded slowly, rising with a weary sigh. The two made their way back to the ship, where Myra was already tending to the wounded. The cramped space smelled of antiseptics and burnt oil, a harsh reminder of the battle's ferocity. Mira's fiery hair was damp with sweat, strands sticking to her face as she worked with practiced efficiency. Her green eyes, sharp but softer now in the presence of vulnerability. "Any new injuries?" Kael asked quietly, his voice rough. Lena shook her head. "No new wounds, but the old ones still need care. And the losses, we have to find a way to carry them with us without breaking." Mira glanced up, her usual defiance softened by fatigue. "They fought for us, for Steelbone. We owe them that much." Joran sat nearby, his slender fingers trembling as he handled salvaged data modules recovered from the wreck. His cracked glasses reflected the flickering light of the ship's console, shadows dancing across his pale face. Each piece of information he uncovered deepened his understanding of the artifacts, power, and the Warden's tragic past. A once protector, now consumed by fear and obsession. "Every discovery feels like a weight added to my chest," Joran admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "But it's also a beacon, a reason to keep going." Grav stood silently on deck, his broad shoulders hunched against the cold night air. His scarred face was etched with lines of fatigue and resolve. The glowing toxic sea spread out before him, endless and unforgiving. Yet, despite the exhaustion, his loyalty burned steady, a pillar for the crew to lean on. "We survived," Grav said simply, his voice gravelly but firm. "And that means we still have work to do." The crew gathered, the space between them filled with unspoken grief and the fragile threads of hope. Kael looked around at the faces, battered, weary, but unbroken. The cost had been high, but the victory had secured the artifact they needed to save Steelbone. Their found family, forged in fire and loss, had endured the worst and emerged stronger. Yet, as the toxic sea whispered its endless song beneath the stars, Kael knew their journey was far from over. The scars they bore were not just physical, but etched deep into their souls. Healing would be neither quick nor easy, but together they would face whatever came next, bound by survival, by trust, and the fierce determination that had carried them through the darkest depths. "Rest for now," Kael finally said, voice steady but soft. "Tomorrow, we begin the real work." And beneath the endless sky, the city of Steelbone awaited their return, fragile, adrift, but alive. The legacy of their sacrifice and courage would be written in the tides yet to come. The night closed in around them, a shroud of uncertainty and hope intertwined. The voyage had taken its toll, but it had also forged something unbreakable. As the crew settled into uneasy rest, the sea's whisper promised that the story was far from finished. Their greatest trials and their greatest triumphs still lay ahead. A faint glimmer of dawn teased the horizon, heralding a new day on the scrap sea. The cost of victory was etched in every weary breath, but so too was the promise of survival, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of Steelbone's found family. The air was thick with the acrid stench of chemical decay, but tonight, beneath a pallid, cloud-choked sky, there was an unusual stillness. Kael stood at the helm, the artifact cradled carefully in his hands, its faint luminescence casting flickering shadows over his weathered face. Around him, the crew gathered quietly, their eyes reflecting the pale glow, a beacon against the pervasive gloom. Myra shifted her weight at the prow, the sharp edges of her silhouette outlined by the errant flickers of greenish light that danced atop the toxic waves. Her fiery hair whipped about her face in the acrid wind, but her gaze remained fixed and unyielding, scanning the murky expanse for any sign of danger. Though the battle had left scars, both visible and unseen, her stance was resolute. She trusted Kael, even if he wrestled with his burdens silently. She trusted their bond forged in the furnace of adversity. Below deck, Jorin hunched over a battered workbench. The artifact's ancient mechanisms spread before him like a puzzle begging to be solved. His pale fingers brushed lightly over the intricate symbols etched into its surface, eyes sharp behind cracked lenses. The ambient hum of the ship's failing engines mingled with the faint, almost imperceptible pulse emanating from the artifact itself. As the minutes passed, the air seemed to shift, currents of the toxic sea outside growing less hostile, the acrid fog thinning imperceptibly. Jorin's breath hitched as the realization dawned. The artifact was not merely a relic. It was a key, a source of latent power that might yet tip the balance in their favor. Lena moved quietly through the cramped quarters, her hands steady as she tended to Tess's scraped arm. The young scout winced but smiled faintly under Lena's gentle ministrations. "You'll be ready for the next storm," Lena whispered, her voice a balm amid the harshness of their world. Nearby, Grav hammered steadily at a corroded hull plate, each clang a testament to his unyielding strength and dedication. The rhythmic echo was a heartbeat of resilience, a declaration that they would endure. Kael's thoughts drifted as he looked out over his crew, each member a vital thread in the fragile tapestry of their survival. The artifact's glow pulsed softly in his palm, a reminder of the immense stakes at hand. "This is only the beginning," he murmured to himself, voice low but resolute. They had secured a chance, however tenuous, to breathe new life into Steelbone. But the sea was vast and unforgiving, and the Warden's shadow still loomed large. As the ship pressed onward through the shifting mists, the crew shared quiet conversations, voices hushed yet hopeful, stories of loss intertwined